This is the Weigh-In Podcast by Benoit Chestnut and the occasional pop-in Sebastian Romero on this week's Takedown Thursdays, an episode presented by the Weigh-In. We're going to talk to you about, on this week's Weigh-In, we're going to talk to you about World Team Trials. I think it's heating up to be just as good as the U.S. Open, if not even better. And whatever else is going around in college wrestling, news of college wrestling, because there's been some coaching changes and some moves made. It's getting good. It's getting good. So, nonetheless, that is this week's Takedown Thursday, an episode presented by the Weigh-In. So, if we jump right into this one, really, those World Team Trials, them World Team Trials entries. Woo, they're heating up. It's heating up in the best way possible. So let me get you all those answers. I can get you those answers very soon. So I got them for you right here, man. Let's talk about them World Team Trial entries. So if we're going to get right into these World Team Trial entries, we want to talk about it. So at 57 kilogram, Liam Crownin. At 57 Liam Crownin. 57 kilogram, Liam Crownin. 57 kilogram, Anthony Knotts. 61 kilogram, Nathan Tomasello. At 61 kilogram, Benjamin Davino. At 61 kilogram, Austin Dos Santos. At 61 kilogram, Jax Forrest. Sorry. 61 kilogram, Jax Forrest. 70 kilogram, Ian Parker. 70 kilogram, Edward Scott. 70 kilogram, Jordan Williams. 74 kilogram, David Carr. 74 kilogram, Quincy Monday. 74 kilogram, Evan Wick. 125 kilogram, Anthony Cassiope. 125 kilogram, Daniel Kirkfleet Jr. 125 kilogram, Jonathan Ariello. 125 kilogram, Tay Gundahali. I think is how you say that. So, and then we have a few. When we take a look at this 125 kilogram senior level World Team Trial, you have Anthony. We talked about Anthony Cassiope. We talked about Daniel Kerfleet Jr. We talked about Jonathan Ariello. We talked about Tay Gundahal. We got at 125 kilogram Cole Masiola, 125 kilogram Connor Masiola, 125 kilogram Hayden Zimmer. All of these are going to be at 125 kilogram. We got Isaac Thrumbo, Jimmy Mullen, Mason Paris, Demetrius Thomas, Jordan Wood, Cody Morelli, and Lucas Stoddard. That is the thing. We got Jaden James, registered at 74 kilogram, making his senior level world debut, which is, that's going to look good. That's going to look good. If any of you don't know, hang around. We had some things. David Taylor named Coach of the Year. And Bo Bassett won Junior Hodge. So, and here's what I talked about. So James Green stepped down from Nebraska, right? Hey, do what you got to do. And returns to Virginia Tech. I tell you, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. Now we know Virginia Tech has been building. They got Bo Bassett over there. Now you got James Green. I think bringing James Green on is very good. I think that it's a great thing because now you got a guy like Bo Bassett on the team, and then you got a guy like James Green coming in who, you know, we all know James Green's resume. He's a great guy, James Green. We all know that's a great thing. And to now find out that, James Green is coming back over there under our position is absolutely amazing. That's the things we're talking about is that, this is a really good thing that you have that. So now you're pairing James Green with Paul Bassett, and I think that's great. You know, James Green was a full-time, four-time All-American, seven-time World Teamer who was looking to make his eighth. That should tell you that somebody who makes the World Team seven times, and is a four-time All-American for to be on a coaching staff, being able to provide his knowledge to a guy like Bo Bassett. I'm telling you, that is definitely a plus. You get in there and you're in a room like Virginia Tech and you get to learn from a four-time All-American. Listen, being an All-American is not easy. Is not easy. Let me tell you, there are some good wrestlers out there that were not All-Americans. It's true. Like, they were good. I felt really, I wanted them to be All-Americans. One being, I'm gonna look this up. I'm gonna look it up before because I saw this the other day, so I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up again. Who's you know, I'm gonna look it up so you can. I'm gonna look it up because I want to know. So one of the biggest is Dean Peterson. I don't mean to throw any shade to Dean, but Dean is that's why I say I wanted Dean to be an All American because Dean has had some big, some good runs at the NCAA tournament where, he's had some upsets where he's done very well, and that's one of them where I talk about being an All American is hard enough as it is, and to be in a room where you got somebody that was a four-time All American, that's definitely somebody you can learn off of because they wrestled the tournament well, you know. Like you look at there's some guys that you look at there's some guys that like I got another one for you. Anthony Ashnault. Let's go through it. 2015, eighth place. 2016, fourth place. 2017, sixth place. 2019, obviously, he was a national champ at 149 pounds. He was a three-time Big Ten champion. Wow. Holds the Rutgers win leader holds the program's record with 123 victories. Well, he was a Hodge Trophy finalist, but unless you get the Hodge, I give credit for being a finalist. Let's you get the Hodge. Let's you get the Hodge. And now, as we all know, Ashnault's back at Rutgers. So when you talk about Ashnault and Rutgers, you talk about somebody that is done well. That and that's what I'm saying. When you have those four timers in those rooms, there's so much you can learn from them. Ashnault wrestled some tough tournaments. I believe one year he got hurt. I forgot what year that was. Um, I think that was. Let me see. I'm trying to see what year that was. Yeah, it was in 2015. He suffered a hamstring. Um, his consolation quarterfinals match. And that's how he ended up with eighth. But my my point there is you talk about, and even then it says here, Ashnault, they were going to stop the match, but Ashnault insisted on finishing the match. It reminds you of Nick Soriano, who was the same way when Kale Sanderson wanted to, he hurt his ankle, he wanted to continue wrestling. Kale said, no, they kind of stopped the match. You talk about that and say All American status. My point is All American status isn't easy, and then even then it's not easy to have a guy like James Green in the room is going to be really good. I think that's great in terms of that. In terms of Bo Bass, I think that's really good to have a guy like James Green in there to be able to show you, hey, and talk to you. You know, and that's just one of the things that I thought was really well is like, you got a guy that's a four time All American in the room. That's somebody you can definitely learn from. That's the thing I really like when you have a guy like that. So he's going to learn from it. I think Virginia is really building. I think it's really going to be. I think it's going to be a good thing, and I also think it's a good thing for Melvin Miller. Melvin Miller is going to be over there with him. So I think you got two really good athletes that are more than likely going to lead the way. They're going to lead the charge for the Hokie. Listen, I'm not going to be surprised because I'm pretty sure they got some good looking groups. If I'm Virginia Tech, I wouldn't be surprised to see them take the ACC trophy 4 straight years in a row while those guys are there because I get it. Those are only two guys, but Virginia Tech already as itself has got some good wrestling. It wasn't the worst. You got Jimmy Mullins over there, which is a great wrestler. Jimmy Mullins. You got Jimmy Mullins over there. You got, you know, and you have a team there. So you talk about that and you say you got guys. And they won the ACC this year. Let's just talk about that. This past season they won the ACC. Think about that. But they don't have faster than Melvin Miller yet. That's what I'm telling you. That I know Virginia Tech is going to be one of those teams. They're about to be real bad. They're about to be, and when I say bad, I mean as bad as in really, really good. Like they're going to be like the top dogs of the ACC for a little while. And I wouldn't be surprised if they get a good looking group that could do some good wrestling in NCAA, I wouldn't be surprised to see them place high. Now, I'm not gonna sit there and say a team trophy, but I'm saying place high. Because that team trophy race has been dominated by really by like maybe 4 or 5 schools. It's really not. We know your one is always Penn State, and David Taylor and his Okie State group is starting to. They got their name in the mix. 2 years of David Taylor being on that coaching, taking over really, and they got 2 team trophies. So that's something to really tell you is that so that's something that's something. So let's get you the best things we can get you, and that it will be. And that'll be something if we go ahead and pull this up really quickly. So you had Nebraska. That's what I'm talking about. That Penn State, Oklahoma State, Nebraska. The previous year, Nebraska was on the hooks for something. That's what I'm talking about with those very close finishes for Nebraska. I mean, for those top three, four. You got Iowa that comes in that mix, but really, I think the talk here is that 1, 2, 3. You got Nebraska in there. You got to ask yourself if Virginia Tech has a really good tournament, can they see themselves at maybe 6, maybe sitting at 5, 6, or 7? That's a good thing to sit there and say because you look at them, they won the ACC, and you're bringing in a guy like Bo Bassett, which you can say whatever you want. I very well believe Bo Bassett can come out and become an NCAA champ. He's beating everybody left and right. He's doing well on the now, which is he's at senior level. You talk about Bo Bassett, and he's doing the best he can do, and I don't think there's reasons why you wouldn't believe Bo Bassett could be an NCAA champ. And for those who don't agree with me on an NCAA champ, I'll agree that he'll be an All-American. Let's go there. We can all agree that Bo Bassett will be an All-American. Now, as hard as it is, Bo Bassett can wrestle very well. He's above the level of wrestling that he has. I kind of consider this right now a little like I relate this a little bit to the Henry Cejudo situation. Henry Cejudo never wrestled college. He was an Olympic champion, but never wrestled college. So we talk about Henry Cejudo because you think about it. Now, Bo Bass is not an Olympic champion. I'm not sitting here saying anything of that nature. What I'm saying here is that I do believe that Bo Bassett is really good at the time of like Henry Cejudo was. I very well think that Bo Bassett, is very well good at what he can do. And I think that when we talk about Bo Bassett, that's somebody that I believe will very well become an All-American and make nationals. That's something that I really think is that, I believe it. So that's just my partake is that I do believe it. I very well believe it. It's a great thing, and I think it'll only get better from here. It'll only really get better, and I think that because you look at Bo Bassett, and there's so many things he can do very well, and that's what I'm talking about at this senior and world level, team. So let's take a look here. because we know he's doing well in the U20, and that is the best thing. But he was a senior U.S. Open champion. If that doesn't tell you already as it is, man, if that doesn't tell you already as it is how good Bo Bassett is, then I don't know what will. Like Bo Bassett versus Real Woods, you can't tell me that Bo Bassett's not going to win that. Like I really think that Real Woods is good. Don't get me wrong, Real Woods is good, but Bo Bassett is really good. You know, you look at that and you tell me that this isn't like, because I kind of looked at it. If Henry Cejudo would have wrestled college, I felt like Henry Cejudo would have very well been a couple-time national champ. Now I get it. Many might disagree with me on that and say, well, what weight would he have gone at? Because look at who the champions were. But seriously, think about it. We can all agree that he would have been an All-American. But Henry Cejudo was a good wrestler. Went straight up to Iowa and said, I'm gonna, I'm not really gonna go to and wrestle college. Henry Cejudo did well for himself, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you got Bo Bassett, where if Bo Bassett was to not wrestle college, I'm just saying if he was to not wrestle college, he would still be just as good. I still think he'd have an Olympic title. I do believe Bo Bassett can win an Olympic title. I mean, I believe anybody can win an Olympic title. You know, when you look at some of these names here, I think if Luke Lilladall made it, I think he can win an Olympic title. Obviously, I believe anybody can win an Olympic title. I'm being, wrestling is a sport where you don't know what happens. One big throw and somebody's up 5-0. A second throw and somebody's tech falls you. That's what I'm saying. That this is, I really do have a lot of faith in a lot of wrestlers. And that's why I say I believe anybody can win an Olympic title. It's very few times where I see somebody wrestle and say, I don't think they can win an Olympic title. I don't think they can win a world title. I think this is, you know what? Instead of saying Henry Cejudo for Bo Bassett, I think it's an Aaron Pico situation. If many of you remember Aaron Pico went right away, wrestled very well. Very well. I think Bo Bassett's way better than Aaron Pico was at the time, but Aaron Pico really just focused on senior level. He didn't wrestle his way through high school like Bo Bassett did, but that's what I'm saying. I'm telling you, like, it don't get much better than that. And I'm telling you, like, I get everybody to say, oh, there's tons of guys that came out and that were this good. Name me a guy that came out of high school, four timer, state champ. Bo Bassett's level, and made senior level world. Well, I mean, didn't make senior level world team, but you know what? Got as close. Got where Bo Bassett is on the U20 world team. Well, not really on U20, on the path, the best path to doing some of the best things. Like, think about it. Going to Final X. You got to seriously ask yourself, with World Team Trials heating up with some good entries, you have to ask yourself, how good is Bassett? Bo Bassett, and he's really good. I'm telling you, he's going to make some noise in college wrestling, and North to see that he is going to make some noise in history. I think he had it on his Instagram somewhere. I'm gonna pull it up because I didn't plan on going that way, but I'm pull it up. The first wrestler in Pennsylvania history to register 100 tech falls. What? How many other wrestlers have you seen have something like that? This is a kid. This is Bo Bassett is somebody where his senior year, he was at a college level expertise. Like literally this, I would relate it to literally sending a college freshman to a high school, like a high school open tournament. Think of it like that way. Bo Bassett was well advanced against everybody this year. I know people might not agree with me on that, but 100 tech falls tells you this guy can wrestle. And that for those who don't know, that's not easy. They get 100 tech falls. It's not really that easy to do something like that. 100 tech falls. Like, wow. That is not in no way is it easy. That's just another thing I wanted to tell you is in no way is it easy. You know, it's not. It's one of those things where it's not easy. It's not. And to sit there and say that, he's not as good as he is, he's definitely good. I think he's going to be a great wrestler, and I think some of the things that is going out of that Bishop, I think what do they call him, McCord or Bishop McCord? I'm gonna look it up because I don't want to get that wrong. Because that's something you would want to get right. So that's something you'd want to get right. That's something you'd really want to get right. So while I look that up, Bishop McCord. Some of the things going on over there is, listen, they got some good wrestlers coming out of there. They've got a good looking group. We talk about what Jax Forrest did, and you can't tell me that somebody like Bo Bassett that let himself. This is why I say develop a little more. You know, develop a lot more isn't something that's gonna be good. Isn't something that's gonna end itself well enough. I look at that and I say, wow, 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 wow. Seriously, wow. Because you look at Jax right out of high school, NCAA champ. I get Ben DeVino got his revenge. All of you are right. He did, but at the end of the day, Jax has still got a national title. And when you look at that, that's still something that you say, hey, whether you stopped me, you didn't truly stop me because look at it. He ain't going to Final X either. So you got both of them going to World Team Trials. So it's like, yeah, you beat Jax, but it's like, yeah, I got beat, but you get better. I think when Jax gets himself back to reality, and we stop all that NCAA stuff and stop riding high off of that, we get down to back to the floor. I think Jax is a great wrestler, and this is what I'm talking about. I'm gonna give Bishop McCord a lot of credit. They built really great wrestlers over there at Bishop McCord, and that's you have to give credit where it's due, because when you have you know one wrestler come out of a town, okay, you give him some, you kind of say, wow, that's a good athlete. When you have three of them, because we got to count Melvin Miller. Melvin's gonna get counted into this. Melvin's gonna get counted into this. Melvin's gonna get counted into this because Melvin's good too. You have three of them. Three of them. That good. You just don't see that every day. You just don't see, and I get it. You just would say, well, oh, the jerseys would say, well, Bergen Catholic and Delma Barton comes out with great wrestlers every year. Yeah. Yep. You're right. You are right. But look at it this way. Um, and this is the best piece. I'm gonna give it to you. I fact check myself first, but I'm gonna give it to you. And while I fact check myself, I'm gonna make sure I get it correct, because just, this don't happen every day. This don't happen every day. So you got Melvin Miller, who was a 3-time state champ, 3-time. You got Bo Bassett, 4-time. I'm pretty sure Bo's a 4. Bo's a 4-time. And then you got Jax Forrest, an NCAA champ. Now I get it. Jack's got some titles, but the notoriety here is that he's a. Okay, so here we go. Bo Bassett, I'm wrong. I got it here. Is a 3-time PIAA state champ. So you get that, but you got to say here, him and Melvin, 3-time state champ, and you got Jax Forrest, NCAA. I mean, not a NCAA champ. I don't know why I'm putting up him before NCAA champ, Jax Forrest. And you talk about that, and you say, "Wow, well, you have to ask yourself, where does it lie?" You have to. So I'll get you the numbers on Jax Forrest. Jax Forrest, 2-time PIAA champion. And really, you gotta tell yourself he would have been a 3-timer too, had he stuck it through high school. But he's an NCAA champ. That's what I'm talking about. I get many are gonna say, well, he's not a 4-timer or whatever. They're not. I know, but to see 3 guys on a team, you have 3 state champs, 3-time 3 state champ. Now I get what you're gonna say. Well, isn't that just like the current Della Barton team? Yes. Della Barton is doing well, and that is something you don't see every day. But what I'm telling you is those are the teams where you look at them coaches where you're having 3, 4, you got 3-timers, 2, 3, 3-timers on a team that have multiple state titles on one team. You give them a pat on the back and you say, wow. Now I get it. The Palmer brothers did something similar. The Palmer brothers did it a lot. I would say better because they were, I believe the Palmer brothers were 4-timers, if I'm correct. And that's something where you say, okay, wow. You got to give those people pats on the back. You're doing something right if you got 3 state titles. And you got 2 wrestlers, 3 state titles. And at the time of last year, before Jax left, you had 3 wrestlers with 2 state titles on one team. You're doing something right. So with that being said, I get what many may argue is, I'll say this. It's better when you do it in New Jersey because there's New Jersey, there's not divisions. It's one state tournament, and that just like NCAAs. There's not, obviously they have D3, D2, but I'm saying at D1 they don't have D1, AA, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't really understand most of the AA and all that stuff. I grew up in New Jersey, but and I'm not meaning to bash any other state because we know there have been some great wrestlers come out of Pennsylvania and those Ohio's, and so that's a whole episode in itself, and that's not today. So with that being said, we are in the end of the epi. Please like, comment, subscribe, share. This is the Weigh-In Podcast by Benoit Chestnut and the occasional pop-in Sebastian Romero. And with that being said, that's all I have for you on this one. So, Weigh-In out.
The Weigh-In, where stories ignite.